Alright, it's that time. We are at the point where we're in the conference finals for both the East and the West, and as weird as it is for me to say, we're sadly nearing the end of the NBA season, but it's actually been pretty fun for the most part, I gotta say. I mean, I feel like more than ever the league is now at a point where it's probably as good, maybe even better than it's ever been. Especially with these playoffs. I mean, parity is greater than it's ever been. It's at a point to where it has literally become anyone's season at this point, and just depending on what changes take place from the off season, even into the trade deadline, and what's the thing I'm trying to think of? That market basically where guys are actually the buyout market. The buyout market, yeah. So eventually we all get to that point, and we're starting to see where a lot of things are shaping up for teams as far as their standing, where they are in terms of where they could be for the playoffs and perhaps even the championship. Minnesota definitely made themselves a lot stronger, but just more from what they did building from within. I mean, a lot more of their pieces are a bit more homegrown, aside from Kyle Anderson, but you got guys like Naz Reid, McDaniels, Alexander Walker, and of course you brought in Rudy Gobert from the Jazz, and he's paired with Cat pretty nicely in these playoffs, and they've been probably the most formidable front court duo since the Twin Towers in Duncan and Robinson. And with all that being the case, it's going to be really, really interesting to see this matchup in the Western Conference Finals. I'm actually quite interested in all of this, just not only so much for that, but going back to the trade deadline, these dudes made some moves themselves in the Dallas Mavericks, and of course Luka, a lot of people have been talking about as a marquee face of the league. I mean, until Anthony Edwards happened, I tried to go without mentioning that, but we just got to be honest about it. I think that Minnesota is now the favorite to probably become the champion, and it's just hard to look at this point where there are very many weaknesses, and I look at the Dallas Mavericks. They match up decently with the Wolves, but I don't know if they match up well enough, because picking up Washington and Gafford has definitely paid dividends for the Mavericks, but at the same time, I don't know necessarily that it's going to get them over, because you're not going to play both of them against Cat and Gobert, and that's going to be something where I'm going to be really interested to see how they supplement that. But it's going to be really, really fun to watch, specifically because of the fact that this man right here, I mean, I think at one point we thought he could very easily be a face of the league, or if not the face of the league, especially when he decided to separate himself from LeBron and the Cavaliers. But it hasn't quite worked out that way. But at the same time, it hasn't taken away from the fact that, this is far and away one of the fiercest competitors the game has to offer today. And, if you want to talk about the late, great Mamba, God rest the soul of Kobe and Gigi, but if you want to talk about Mamba mentality, he's definitely brought that to the table. I mean, I don't know any other way to look at it. And at this point, I feel as if it's going to be really fun, because Anthony Edwards did call him out, said, "I got Kyrie." I mean, Kyrie's hearing that, and he's like, "All right, bet," if nothing else, I think this is going to be what makes the matchup as compelling as anything else. And this is going to be what probably decides how long the series will go. That being said, I think the front court discrepancy, as far as trying to match Gobert and Cat, is going to be what winds up working against the Mavericks in the long run. But I think it's still going to be a fun series to watch. I would like to think it goes 6. I'm going to hope it goes 7. But I got the Wolves in this one. Just going to be too much Cat and Gobert. But more than that, Anthony Edwards is on a tear. It's been talked about. He's the man. And if and when he does win the championship, it's going to be hard to deny at that point. I just can't look at it any other way. But this matchup is going to go a very, very long way in telling that story. I just can't say that enough. So we're going to move to the other side of it with the Eastern Conference Finals, where we got the Pacers getting ready to face the number 1 seed in the Boston Celtics. Now I got to bring this up. I haven't brought up Mamba mentality because, you don't see too many other people who look to Kobe as that role model, and Jason Tatum had one of those relationships with Kobe, and he's done his best to try to match that, but really has he? Because I keep saying it again and again, he's not necessarily doing what he needs to as far as being the man is concerned, being considered the MVP or the face of the league. And that's where I feel like when it comes down to what I feel like is, and I'm kind of spoiling my prediction here, but the inevitable matchup of Wolves-Celtics, I just feel like Anthony Edwards is just better. He's just going to show it. And moreover, because of the fact that unless Jason Tatum comes to prove me wrong, and actually becomes the leader that I think the Celtics need him to be. Because one other thing that also drives me wild about this is a lot of people are saying that if Porzingis isn't playing in the finals, the Celtics do not win the championship, which I agree with to an extent. But at the same time, I don't know that it necessarily matters. And I feel like that sort of takes away from Tatum even more so. And speaking of taking away from Tatum, this guy right here, who to me is just I don't know how he's not the low-key MVP of the team. But he's definitely been that 1A or 1B or whatever you want to call him. And if nothing else, I feel like we're not looking at him enough as one of the best players in the world along with Tatum. Because again, I feel like when it comes down to those moments, he's just been better, And I've said this a lot of times, regardless of who I've said it to. I haven't really seen that sort of thing out of Tatum since that Eastern Conference Championship matchup between the Cavaliers and the Celtics. And that was what was seemingly Tatum's coming out party. But in the long run, it just doesn't strike me as if, Tatum has proven it on the level at least the same way that this man has, but I don't know. And if nothing else, the one thing that I would say that the Celtics have in their favor, not just against the Pacers, but potentially against the Wolves, is that he has every bit of the ability to match what Anthony Edwards is. I don't know if he's necessarily on that level, but he'll bring it just the same. And I would expect no less, and I'm going to say that if the Celtics are really going to win, it's got to be him and Tatum. And I just say this because I don't think Jalen is brought up enough in all of this, because if you're going to have a good enough counter for the Celtics, it's going to be, or for Anthony Edwards and the Wolves, it's going to be him. And I feel like he's going to be the perfect counter to Tyrese Halliburton. I don't want to take anything away from the Pacers because I talked a lot about them yesterday. But they're definitely going to be a fun matchup as well, you know. Not just Halliburton, TJ McConnell, Nesmith, Miles Turner, Siakam. And they got quite a few others. Like I said, I'm not going to try and name them because I can't right now. The matchups are going to be really, really fun. Again, this one's going to be going 6. Obviously, I'm going with the Celtics in this one. But a large reason is going to be Jaylen Brown. And hopefully in the long run, I would like to think that Tatum does prove me wrong. Because if the Celtics are going to win, that's what it's going to be boiling down to. Is that combination of Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and of course Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Again, if Porzingis is healthy, they'll all have something to say about it. Derek White, amongst others. But it's going to be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to these matchups, and we'll see how it turns out. Let me know what y'all think on that one. Do you agree with my predictions? Yes or no? And y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. And I appreciate y'all for fucking with me as always. And I'll be back.